What would you do if you had one night to do whatever you liked? No rules, no judgment, no limits to your imagination, and a whole world of possibilities as the sun goes down. Well, I know what I'd do.
No, not that. I'd go and find the keys to the fastest, most powerful car I could, and then I'd go and find the straightest, longest road I could. And then I'd do this. But because the car I've chosen is a McLaren, it'll do it over and over again. Oh my God! This is the mental McLaren 720S, and it's best enjoyed when there's no one else around.
If there was anyone around, they would have watched the 720S do the quarter mile in just 10.4 seconds and 0 to 100 in 3.1. Not bad for a 35-degree day. More impressively though was its consistency, never deviating by more than 1/10 of a second. But if I can do whatever I want, then why just stick to the straight stuff?
So, our main learning from a trip to the drag strip is that a 530 kilowatt McLaren is fast. Not perhaps the most surprising revelation. What is a little bit more eye-opening is the way this thing goes when the road ahead turns windy. Blimey! There's a number of reasons for the way this thing handles. One is it doesn't have a conventional limited slip differential. Instead, it does all of that clever torque vectoring business using the rear brake calipers. Nor does it have anti-roll bars front or rear. Instead, it uses hydraulically linked dampers. And while virtually every other car on the market has electric power steering, this has good old-fashioned mechanical hydraulic. This car is as unconventional under its skin as it is on top, but it's not for the sake of doing things differently. That normal differential manages to find grip where I didn't think it would be possible. The mechanical power steering is beautifully old school and is as communicative as any I've felt. And it might not have rear anti-roll bars or front anti-roll bars, but it manages to stay beautifully flat in corners without sacrificing ride quality. The position of the pedals as well, it's smack in the middle, it's not offset like most other cars, and that might feel a little bit weird, but if you're one of those people that pretends you left foot brake like I do, it's actually perfect. Now with all those bits and pieces, this car manages to save a lot of weight, and it weighs just shy of 1,420 kilos, and the result is absolutely eye-opening. I don't think I'll ever get used to that, but I won't stop trying.
As the summer sun finally sinks into the darkening hills and a bruised sky turns black, the McLaren's monochrome form basks in the gloom like a phantom. And there's one more very different place I want to point its nose.
This car is constantly surprising me. It's the same vehicle that just hours ago at a drag strip was putting down incendiary times, and then out on wonderful twisting country roads was delivering the sort of performance that only proper hypercars can. But now I'm in Melbourne CBD and it's got an entirely different side to its character once again. For a start, look at this visibility. I can see beautifully all around me, and most importantly, backwards. Because that V8 is so low slung in the chassis, I've actually got a really decent view out the back window. And then look at this, tons of space around me. I can see everything that's going on beautifully. And inside, it's ergonomically very comfortable. I could spend quite a bit of time in here. In fact, I have been. These seats are beautifully supportive, nice and firm for when you're cutting laps of a more interesting road, but easily comfortable enough to spend a day lapping the city and just doing the sights. And then there's the driving position, beautifully laid back, feet right out in front of me. I swear if I get outside I'd see my toes pointing through the front grille. And that amazing exhaust note has quietened down to a muted, barely perceptible level in the background. The cabin is serene and quiet. All I can hear is the whir of little motors and the air conditioning perhaps running. Other than that, it's incredibly refined and comfortable in here. The steering wheel has still got that nice weight to it that we did when we were out on the more winding and twisty roads, but it's light and easy to manage. I don't feel like I'm going to get Arnie arms trying to drive this thing in the city. The steering wheel is a beautiful lesson in ergonomics. Small and thin, but still ergonomically excellent. Comfortable with this Alcantara or suede covering. All that lovely carbon fiber, but the thing I particularly like about it is there's not one switch over the whole steering wheel. Really clean and elegant and just refined. The carbon fiber gear shift paddles are also excellent. If I pull on the right hand one, I go up a gear, but they're connected at the back. So if I push away with the left hand one, it does the same job. Really handy for if you're moving the steering wheel or only got one hand on the wheel at a time. And this beautiful little touchscreen down here is a case in point that you don't have to have a massive home theater system in your car. This is intuitive and easy to circumnavigate, and it's got great graphics, sharp without being too showy and over the top. And the dihedral doors, those amazing features on the outside that look so incredibly impressive when you're getting in and out. They're actually practical as well. They make getting in and out of this car much easier. There's a huge cutout in the ceiling so you can drop in through the awkward bits. But also that huge wide opening is so much easier to alight from. Yes, there are a few bits missing, like you won't get autonomous emergency braking or lane departure, but should you care about that in a car like this? Absolutely not. Perhaps my only criticism would be the brake pedal. Now, out on the open road and trying to scrub some serious speed from this car, it is absolutely fantastic, progressive and firm. But around town doing this kind of driving, there's a really wooden feel at the top end of its travel. You've got to push through that to realise the positivity of the braking system in this car. And it can be a little bit disconcerting to begin with, and you do eventually get used to it, but there's no getting past that funny feel of carbon ceramic brakes. Some have suggested that the ride when in comfort mode is limousine-like in the 720S. Well, they're wrong. It isn't. There's no way a car like this is ever going to be like some kind of high-riding, air-suspensioned limo. But it is when you flick it into comfort on handling and comfort on powertrain and hit the activate switch, actually amazingly well refined. For driving around city and Melbourne's renowned poorly maintained surfaces, this is actually doing incredibly well. Which begs the question, is this the supercar you could use every day? Well, perhaps yes, but I would argue there's no such thing as a supercar you're realistically going to use every day. No one has just one car in the garage and it's a McLaren 720S. You're always going to have another car. But perhaps this is the car that you could commute in once a week or twice and then revert back to something a little more practical. It might not be the one car to do it all, but the McLaren 720S is easily one of the most well-rounded supercars of them all. McLaren 720S is a surprisingly versatile supercar, capable of spending all day at the track without missing a beat, but then all night in the city in complete comfort. But it's this broad accessibility that hides a more serious side and an edge that deserves respect. At night, this car takes on an almost eerie, ghostly presence. It doesn't prowl the streets, it haunts them. And it's only after dark that the 720S really starts to show its true ghoulish brilliance.